Meaning mixed rice. Bibimbap is a rice bowl piled on with all of the best flavors and textures, topped with a fried egg with a runny yolk. Absolutely perfect for mixing up and chowing down. We'll start off with a marinade for our steak, starting with a key ingredient in this entire dish, some gochujang. Put a couple tablespoons in a bowl, followed by a little bit of rice wine vinegar, a little bit of honey. All the exact amounts and instructions will be down below as always. A little bit of ground up garlic, or you can chop some fresh. Teaspoon or so of toasted sesame oil, and a splash of reduced sodium soy sauce. We'll go ahead and get in there and mix all of that to combine and set it aside and grab our steak. I've got about 1 pound of really high quality sirloin here. You could use strip, ribeye, or even filet, but one key is to pop it in the freezer for roughly 30 minutes before you go to cut it so that you can get it as thin as possible. If you have a meat slicer, I don't know why you would at your house, but if you did, that would be the best way to do this, but otherwise just use a good sharp knife, get it nice and thin, and then set it in that marinade and give it at least 30 minutes to soak up all those wonderful flavors. Next up, we're going to make a quick pickle, so I'm going to take about half of an English cucumber here, slice it in half, and then use a spoon to scrape out the more watery, liquidy center. Once that's done, we'll throw that away, and then flip it over and cut it into little half moons, maybe about 1/4 to 1/2 an inch. We're going to make a quick pickle with these, so we'll splash on a little rice wine vinegar, just a tiny little drizzle of honey to offset the acidity, a hefty pinch of salt, and then a teaspoon of gochujang to keep all these flavors in the same profile. Go ahead and stir that really nice to combine, and again, at least 30 minutes setting aside, or you can keep them in the fridge for a few days. Finally, we'll make a gochujang sauce to put over our rice bowl, so we're going to add some gochujang, of course, some mirin, some rice wine vinegar, some more toasted sesame oil, and some more soy sauce. A lot of similar flavors here, but it all ties together really, really well in the end. We'll add another pinch of sugar for some sweetness, and then go ahead and whisk all that to combine, and as before, just set that aside. Now comes the cooking part. We're going to add some shiitake mushrooms to a skillet over medium-high heat and sweat those out for 5 to 7 minutes until they are lightly browned and mostly giving up their moisture. We'll add in a little bit of garlic, as well as some dark sesame sauce for color and flavor, and stir those around for another 1 to 2 minutes until that garlic is fragrant, and then set those aside, cover them up to keep them warm. Next up, add in about a cup of shredded carrots. You can shred them yourself or buy them. I won't judge either way. Saute those for 2 to 3 minutes until they are just softened. Set those aside. And finally, a large handful of spinach, roughly about 8 ounces here. We'll sweat that down for 2 to 3 minutes, and then once it is mostly wilted, we'll go ahead and crush in another clove of garlic and let that get nice and aromatic. You'll also want to have about 3 cups of cooked rice at the ready for when we're ready to bowl everything up. Just a heads up, I like to use sushi rice, but you could use long grain if that's all you have. Next up, we're going to cook our steak, and you may want to work in batches here so you don't overcrowd your pan. You want to just really kiss the outside of this with some high heat, get a nice little golden brown char on there, and then get it off the heat. Maybe 2 minutes of cooking total. Totally fine if it's still a little pink in some places. We'll set that aside and rinse and repeat to cook the rest of your steak. And finally, each bowl is going to need a perfectly fried egg right on top, so when you are ready to eat, go ahead and toss a fried egg into a non-stick skillet over medium heat until it is cooked to your liking. I prefer sunny side up. And we're ready to bowl this dish up. Go ahead and pile in a lot of that nice, perfectly cooked rice. If you have a rice cooker, that makes it all the better. A generous portion of that wonderful, tender, seared steak. And then you'll just make little mounds of all your other ingredients around the outside of the bowl here. Some spinach, those softened sauteed carrots, those sauteed mushrooms. And then I've got some raw bean sprouts for a temperature and texture contrast. I'm just going to tuck a few of those in one corner there. And then you'll remember our nice, quick pickled cucumbers there with that gochujang pickling liquid. We'll drizzle as little or as much of that gochujang sauce over the bowl as you like. Top with that fried egg. Try and get it right in the middle. And then I'm going to garnish this with, of course, some of my beloved green onions and a few tuxedo sesame seeds. just to let everyone know there's a lot of sesame flavors going on in this bowl. Now I just happen to have a little gochujang, which is some chili pepper flakes in my pantry that I went to put on there for a nice little finishing flourish, but that's totally optional. Look at that perfectly runny yolk. Now the idea here is that you mix all this together and get a little bit of everything in one bite, but I actually only had one egg left in the house, and this was my husband's dinner, so I didn't want to totally mess everything up for him, but had to go in there and at least give a try to that perfectly tender beef. It's smoky, it's lightly spicy, it's so deeply savory. These little quick pickled cucumbers are crunchy, salty, tangy, with just a little hint of sweetness from that honey we put in there. I'm telling you guys, this is an amazing bowl of food. I mean, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, honestly, I would eat this any time of day and not be disappointed. Hope you'll give it a try. Definitely a few steps involved, but totally well worth it. Thanks so much for watching. Now it's your turn to go make something delicious.